Hey guys, what's going on, and welcome to another video. In this video, I'm going to be running through the start of a new series, and in this series, I've just dinged on my priest, and we are going to slowly, ever so slowly, push our way to Keystone Master. Well, that's the goal anyway. We are just starting in that push. This is my second key that I've done so far. The first one that I've not been absolutely carried in. And yeah, we're just trying to see what goes on right now. I'm still completely learning the spec. As you can see, I'm using the Haliki at the moment just because I really haven't got the rotation down. I'm not sure what's going on in the rotation all the time, so it's all good fun. So this is actually my key, and that's the first thing I'm going to talk about in this, is that don't be afraid to push your own key. Ultimately, it's much easier for you to get into your own key if you're the one making the group. Of course he picks me. So it's actually doing quite a lot of damage there. Gonna just disperse because Game Up hates me. I found a group that all queued as a 4-man pre-made, and one of the Boomy, I believe, was very low item level. So again, but it's only a +2. The affixes this week, it's Tyrannical, which is a little bit of a pain. You want better DPS on Tyrannical weeks for sort of single target anyway. But it's all good. We'll get there. Make sure we're doing all the mechanics. And that's quite an important thing, is that especially if you're pushing, if you're not doing the best DPS, you want to make sure you're doing all the mechanics, allowing the rest of your group to do the best DPS possible as well. I am actually currently running the Power Infusion Legendary. And the reason for that is that a lot of the dungeons I'm going to be doing, especially as part of this series, will be as Discipline. So, yeah, it's just one of those things that it might not be optimal to do it for both specs, but it's playable as all three specs, so I thought for now it'll probably be the best thing I can do. And so what I'm hoping from this is that we 2-chest it, get a +4, then from the +4 we can start looking to do a couple of other things. Now, I know my UI is super messy at the moment. It is something I'm going to work on changing, something I'm going to work on improving. Like I said, a lot of the stuff at the moment has just kind of been thrown together purely to record this tonight. And yeah, so I'm not sure which boss we're going to go first. Typically, you would go for the Zav route, where there's video on my channel of the Prideful route for this dungeon. But I'm not sure what they're going to do, so I'll just kind of follow their lead. Okay. Maybe influence them a little bit by running the right direction, but that's all good. So the biggest thing for me at the moment is I've got Haliki there giving me, it might not be the most optimal rotation, it might be, I genuinely don't know, but it gives me some form of rotation that I want to be pressing, so it's something to aim at. At some point I will go and sit at a target dummy and focus on it, and I'll work it out. But as you can see, I mean, I'm 188 eye level at the moment without my best legendary, and I'm still pulling sort of more DPS than the 207 warrior. I believe it is 206 eye level warrior, so I don't think we're doing too bad there. Let's see what we can do overall though. Now, my challenge in all of this, purely because it's just something for me, is I'm going to want a top DPS in every group. Now, that's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen for a couple of reasons. The first one is I haven't got the legendary. The second one, my legendary's entire purpose is to boost someone else's damage as well as mine. So it's not necessarily the best legendary for topping DPS. But that's it. It's a good thing for us to aim for, and if we're regularly topping the DPS, we're probably overperforming in groups. If we're regularly at the bottom, we can see that we're regularly underperforming in groups. In this one, I'm not expecting the Boomy to do any damage at all, really. And I'm expecting the Warrior to be stomping me on damage just because of the eye level differences. But we'll see what happens overall. If you guys have any ideas of like ways you want things laid out on the screen, or certain detail windows open, let me know. That's something that could definitely be done. So I will just pop up my talents in a second once we've killed Zav and just show you what I'm running. I'm not running the typical Mythic Plus Priest setup. I'm running a little bit of a hybrid sort of build, and the reason for that is because it's Theatre of Pain. Theatre of Pain is unfortunately just one of those dungeons that doesn't lend itself to doing mass AoE. Obviously, for me, it's not so much of an issue because a lot of mine is single target AoE with this build. But it's still something it doesn't really lend itself to doing massive AoE pulls with Unfurling Darkness. So we'll see what we can do here. Again, we're not beating the warrior, but we're doing okay damage. What you want to be doing is looking at the affixes as well. I should be going a little bit more single target this week just because it's tyrannical. If I'm going to be playing with lots of pugs, then I want to make sure that I'm doing the most damage possible on bosses because that's where we're going to have issues. I've just done a Plagueful 8. We didn't time it. I was with a guild group and I was kind of getting carried. But bosses were an issue. They just take so much longer this week even after the nerfs. That's something I'm also going to be putting a video out very soon if it isn't already out by the time you're watching this. Is a video regarding the nerfs and buffs they've just made to classes and covenants. Some big changes there, and actually I think they could really influence the meta in the game at the moment. I know Disc Priest has received a massive change for raids in Spirit Shell getting nerfed. Holy Pally has had a very slight nerf in Holy Shock. There are lots of covenants have been buffed as well, which is nice. They've not killed off the current covenants. They've actually buffed the new covenants and the covenants that weren't being used. And I like that tactic more. I really don't want this expansion to turn into kind of covenant hopping, and I feel like it had a very good potential to be doing that. So I'm glad that's the way they've gone with it. Oof. So trying to do as much DPS as we can here during my Void Form. The Void Form's run off now. Make sure we don't get kicked by the Deafening Crash. And who's it's going down? So me and the Warrior. I know the Warrior is going to do much more damage than I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to sit down. Just a quick trick for you. If you're sat down, you do take critical strikes and it does speed up this whole process. So as you can see, it killed me much quicker. It means we can get back upstairs and help on the banner. The issue is with having one bad DPS on Zav is that if he's left with the banner, he's probably not going to do all too much. So we managed to avoid that one. I'd really like to get my Void Torrent out. We do manage to get that there. And good. Let's get back into doing some damage and pumping the numbers. So I've been really enjoying Shadow Priest from what I've played of it so far. Most of my leveling was done as disc, and I thoroughly enjoyed that as well. I think that's why I put so much effort into the character at the moment. It's not going to replace Boomy for me. Yeah, I'm just going to have to disperse that because the banner is still alive. It's still alive. That's not good at all. So I think we got a bit greedy there and tried to go for the boss. Wasn't ideal, but we did survive. So let's go to the next one. All being normal, we would go to Kultharok. As the next boss we would kill. Let's see which way they go. Again, I'm kind of leading the way, just trying to be in front. We have no communication and it's a full Russian pre-made, so I doubt they're going to be listening to me anyway, but if I run this way, people like to follow. Unless they are actively leading the group, they're normally pretty happy to follow back, so definitely nice to do. So while we're waiting and kind of doing a little bit of trash here, just to give you an idea of what's coming up on the channel in the next couple of weeks. Next week there's going to be loads of content being recorded because I have access to my desk all day long. So we're going to be aiming to do, and I'm not guaranteeing anything, but something I've done in the past is doing kind of what certain classes bring to Mythic Plus. So what does a Boomy actually bring? Because a lot of people are inviting Boomies right now and going, yeah, but they were played in the MDI or Disc Priests or Fire Mages. And they don't understand the reasons why their classes were being brought. So I'm hoping that will help people just understand just a little bit more as to why these classes are being brought, why they're so strong at the moment, and why you ultimately want one in your group, or don't. That's the other point. But we'll be going through every class and spec, certainly every one I have currently maxed, and just talking through what does the class offer, what does the spec offer, why would you bring it to your Mythic Plus group, And in doing this, you'll realise there are some classes and specs that do offer a lot of utility that are completely ignored right now. I was going through ferals on earlier. They do a fair bit of damage. They bring similar utility to Boomy. The only difference is they don't bring Force of Nature, which is the Treants. So they do bring less utility. They do bring less damage. But what's going on now, guys? That's it. They do bring less damage and less utility, but actually they're a viable alternative. They still bring a combat res. They still bring a D-curse. Unless you're running the top end keys, actually it's something that you could bring a feral to your group and still perform very well. I should have probably stunned. I was hoping I could fear these. Apparently you can't. I didn't know that. That just comes with inexperience in the class, unfortunately. So I'm not worried that we're going to time the key. That was never the issue. My main concern is whether we will two-chest it. The reason for that is because I want to just run my keys this week. And the easier way to do that is to get it to kind of a 5, 6, 7-ish level is where I'm aiming for at the moment. And then just bounce it between 5, then do the 6, then do the 7, then drop it to a 5, then do the 6, and keep doing it until I've got a little bit of gear. And then raise it up to like 8s, 9s, 10s. And just keep working from there, really. So the group's not the most efficient. I mean, I was never expecting MDI players at this sort of level. It's just, you've got to manage your expectations. If you were expecting the best of the best group, you're going to be very disappointed. I'm going to disperse here because the Bone Spear was coming on me, and we've got the Soulstorm, and we got the Volley in the middle of that. So not a nice pack. All of the damage, like a lot of the targeted damage was on me, so I got to disperse out of that. Just help my healer a little bit, so not too much of an issue. So these Dark Speakers, a little bit of a pain in the neck, especially with a ranged heavy group. We've got 3 ranged here. As you can see, already having to move, and you've got the debuffs to manage. Typically, you would want to just focus one. So we've had one person. I think we're going to pull both packs here. It'd be very unfortunate if we did, but it wouldn't surprise me to see it happen. And obviously, normally, you definitely wouldn't want to pull these packs. So I'm going to fade this off. I'm a little bit wary about fading things because it doesn't necessarily put the aggro on the right target. It just moves it off of you. And if at the time you were the best person to have the aggro, then I didn't get the kick on the right person. That's unfortunate. I've still got aggro on the soul, so I'm going to stun that. And I'm going to help heal just a little bit here. People underestimate just how helpful throwing 1 or 2 heals out on people really is. If you actually look at my healing then, Vampiric Embrace did a lot. Shadowmen's did 20% of my healing. I only threw 1 or 2 out, but actually if it's something that I can help the healer do, means that we kill the pack, fine, it doesn't look as good on the meters, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here to pad the meters, I'm here to kill the dungeon. So another pull that's not very nice, and I have limited utility to actually be able to deal with certain things here. So we've got both the spear and the volley went out there. My kick was on cooldown. I don't really want to power infuse this, but I'm going to anyway. I don't have Vampiric Embrace up, so it's just about getting my dots up and hoping that we kill the boss before, kill the trash before we die. I did actually pop Vampiric Embrace there as well, right at the end. Probably not the best usage. I could have saved it for the boss. But it's fine. This boss shouldn't be a massive issue, ultimately. It's not a hard boss. Now it's been nerfed as long as the mechanics are done correctly. We can cheese the mechanics once by using Leap of Faith. If someone's not stood in the right place, I can just pull them to me. So let's see what happens here. We haven't got a Bloodlust, which is going to make this slightly longer. If I was smart, I would have bought some drums, but I'm not, so I didn't. So the boss is pulled. I believe I actually pulled the boss there by accident, not intentional, and certainly not something you want to do if you can help it. So let's get my damage rolling here, and let's go. So it looks like the Boomy's not going to do the mechanic correctly. I'm actually not going to waste my Leap of Faith on him. I'll just heal him. I don't think he does enough damage for me to worry about his loss at the moment. We need this pally to stop running away because the boss is actually doing spectral reaches, which happens when you are out of melee range of the boss. The boss is on 50% health, so we've still got a fair bit of the boss left to do. I want him to be just a little bit careful. I've popped Vampiric Embrace again. I am running the talent for Vampiric Embrace. I just feel it's so strong. The added utility you get as a Shadow Priest by having that. This week, Shadow Priests are actually very good. Don't be afraid to bring them to your keys. They offer Master Spell for bursting. And obviously the Vampiric Embrace as well, which is always fun. So definitely don't be afraid to bring Shadow Priest to your key. They do a lot of damage. Let's get into this Draw Soul. We can't control what other people are doing mechanics, but we can make sure that we're taking the least amount of damage possible. So I'm going to Master Spell here, get the debuffs off everyone. And this should just be coming to the end of the fight right now. So throw that off, and we're going to go to the next one. So I think it's more than capable for us to two-chest this. It's a very sloppy run, and anything higher would probably struggle to two-chest it. You can just force it at the moment with the item level that we currently have. But this is quite a nasty room, and this is probably where my AoE would have shone if I was running the Searing Nightmare talent and things like Death and Madness, but can't control it. You can't have all your talents at the same time, so it's just controlling what you can do. And you'll notice that's a consistent theme in my videos and this series and things like that. It's never about what other people didn't do. It's about what could you have done better. What could I have done better? I could have made sure I had a kick for that instead of using it on the boss before that we probably didn't need it on. Just little things like that, it makes the big difference. I mean, using a cooldown here, it probably wasn't the most efficient use of my cooldown. I used it anyway. The reason for it, because I wanted to make sure that the trash died. Now again, I pulled that. Is that the most efficient use? Should I be pulling that? And the answer is no, I really shouldn't be pulling that. It's not my job to pull things. I should be letting the tank go at his pace. I'm just trying to help out. I got a little bit impatient. And this is the thing, is you just got to look back and look at yourself. What are you doing that's stopping you from timing these keys? And I know it's only a +2. I'm not foolish enough to believe that this is, if you do these, you'll get Keystone Master. But ultimately, if you do these, Keystone Master will be much easier to achieve. It might not get it for you. It might not be the missing key, but it will certainly help. So we are just going to focus one of these now. We're actually going to save Mind Games for when this one does his discharge. Got Power Infusion onto the Warrior. I could run Power Infusion onto the Healer, I guess. Give the Healer just a little bit more ability to keep everyone healed up. But actually it looks like... I don't know why it's saying I did 0 damage on this pull. I thought I did something. Oh, okay. The disease is stopping me from doing any damage at all. So I'm sure I've got a dispel somewhere. Going to make sure I kick that. Purify disease. That's what I'm looking for. Let's get that, and then we can kill the boss. Kill basically a boss at this point. Not fun, not easy, but hey. And this is just what happens if you're not prepared. So I know there's a lot of diseases in here. I have something that cleanses diseases. Why wasn't it on my bars? So I'm going to run into this way. This way gives us... Never mind. I was going to run into this way because it gives us lots of time to skip as it's just doing the start of its rotation. Turns out that's not a good idea. He just pulled anyway. And it's completely my fault, so can't blame anyone else for that. I do love Shadow Crash being like an aimed ability. I think it's so fun. Having just that little bit of skill there that you need to aim stuff with. So once again, we've got a Sludge Spewer. I'm going to pop a cooldown here. Not only am I going to pop a cooldown, I'm going to make sure that I have an interrupt ready for him. There's my interrupt. And I'm going to be focusing him, trying to do damage to him as well. Let's pop a Mind Games. and boom, he dies. So again, while my group might be just hitting whatever or not doing too much priority DPS, I can make sure that I'm actually focusing, hitting the right targets and doing as much damage to them as I can. All of these little things will be the reasons why you can push Keystone Master or higher, is making sure you're doing these things. And it's what a coordinated group would be doing and looking for as well. So this is a really horrible pull here. I've used my stun there and I faded. I'm going to immediately pop Vampiric Embrace. This is going to be a nasty pull. And again, what I was just saying, I'm going to make sure I have priority damage on the Sludge Spewer. That is the mob that could wipe us here, if not managed. So I stunned the first one, I kicked the second one, and we got through the pull, not a problem. Now again, I wasn't the one to kill all the ads or do top DPS, but I pulled more healing than the healer, and I got both interrupts, and I still did priority damage on the correct mob. So all of those things combined really makes a big difference when you're trying to do poke keys. Guys, just while we're in a little bit of a lull here waiting to get into Gore Chop, if this is something that has been helpful to you, or it's something you want to see more of, you know where the subscribe button is. I will be trying to do more videos. Again, my goal is to push all of my characters to either some form of PvP rating, Keystone Master, or anything like that. If you have stuff that you specifically want to see or certain specs you want to see in Mythic Plus, anything like that, let me know in the comments below and we'll see what we can do. I can't guarantee everything. Ultimately, if I haven't got a class or anything like that, I can't just magic one. But we can do what we can do. And I will make sure if people ask for stuff, I will do what I can to get it. So again, we all got hit by stuff there. So I'm just going to pop Vampiric Embrace. Okay. And that's not blaming anyone. Ultimately, I got hit by it as well. It doesn't matter who got hit by stuff. It matters what you do to deal with it. So I pop Vampiric Embrace. Allows me to get a little bit of extra healing now. I'm going to make sure try to make sure I don't fail this one. And again, I got unlucky with the knockback there. So I popped Dispersion early. Rather than wait and try to avoid it, we popped Dispersion and we just got on with it. So popped my Power Infusion. Let's try to do a little bit of damage here. Not a particularly nice boss as a caster. Normally I'm doing this as a boomy. You can just cast while moving because they are broken. Let's actually get a little bit of cleave onto the ads there. There we go. We're starting to pump a little bit of single target damage now, which will help get this boss down a little bit quicker. We've got 6 minutes for the 2 chests. I truly believe that we can do that. So again, the boomy got hit. I'm not actually going to heal him at the moment. I don't think he's any at risk of dying. And I think the most important thing is we just get this boss dead. So I'm going to pop Vampiric Embrace again. Really, really far to the chains, unfortunately. So we did get there in time, which was nice. Pop a Mind Games, that should be the boss dead. Boom. So again, we said at the start of this whole thing, we wanted to try to get top damage overall. There is a 20 eye level deficit between me and the warrior. Ultimately, I'm giving him Power Infusion every time I've got it, so he is getting a lot of benefit from having me in the group as well and inflated numbers. He's pulling a lot more damage than I am. I can't deny it. I can't change that ultimately at the moment. I've just got to make sure that in future dungeons I'm doing a little bit more damage. And again, a lot of that will be down to the fact that I've only got 1,279 intellects because I'm low eye level. And some of that will be just because I'm not playing the class mode as efficiently as I could be. So everything we can be improving on. So at the start of this, I'm going to save all of my cooldowns. If you look at them at the moment, I've got 2 minutes, obviously slightly less, but 2 minutes on my Shadow Fiend. I've got 30 seconds on my Void Eruption. We want to be killing this boss and nuking it from from 50%. We don't want to kind of focus it and nuke it down earlier. I imagine we will get people in our group, though again, you see the warrior immediately popping cooldowns. That's all good, and that's a lot of damage, and it gets it to 50% quicker. What it doesn't do is allow us to actually kill the boss any easier. This boss gets very hard at 50%. Before that, it's very easy. So again, I'm safe here, just going to go and try to get it down to 50%. Again, a bloodlust would make this much easier. It's my fault we haven't got one. I made the group. So what else could I have done there? Could have grouped up with the ads. I'm going to pop a Vampiric Embrace as well. Beams on me again. Very unlucky. Okay, I'm just going to run through. Apparently it doesn't do very much damage anymore. So we've got another Rift. It's unfortunate and right on top of me, which isn't nice. Not ideal at all, but that's fine. Straight out of this, I'm going to start pumping some cooldowns. So we're going to go Void Eruption straight into everything else. Pop the Mind Games, get the dots back up, and let's try to do everything we can to get this dead now. So we know we're not going to get hit by any of the rams here. So we have got a Rift, and this Rift will spawn ads. So I'm actually dead, unfortunately. Hopefully the group can just finish it off. I actually died because I got clipped by the ghosts. It's completely my fault. I just shouldn't have. I should have cancelled my cast earlier. I thought I could get the cast off before it died. I thought I could get the cast off and move. I really couldn't. So 50k left. I'm hoping they get this down. There should be no reason why not. They've still got Pala Bubble and things like that. And they've still got the Warrior up to execute. So happy days. It has gone down. Again, you see I've literally not done a Theatre of Pain at all on this. We get a 4 Halls of Atonement, Shock Horror, that will be on the channel at some point in the very near future. Overall, let's have a look. So we pulled nearly 1 million healing. A lot of that is Vampiric Embrace and Devouring Plague. Both of those really, really nice. Again, we're still getting Renown and things like that. So yeah, I think we did a good job there. Guys, if you really enjoyed this, please leave a video, like, comment, and more videos will follow. Thank you for watching, and catch you later. Goodbye.